All right, Christian. Glad you could stop by and talk with us, man. How's it going?
It's going great. Um, really excited to, to finally see the Final Four, what it looks like after the bracket comes out, after the first weekend, after last weekend, and after everything that's went on. I'm still in shock over the Final Four. Not really in shock um, over how it turned out, but just a sequence of events, I would say.
So
It's been a great tournament so far.
we have one number one seed in this. North Carolina's in it. Villanova is also in it, which is kind of you had some words about Villanova last week, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that's why. I mean, you and God, y'all had told me like, why aren't you talking about Miami? That was the matchup I was afraid of,
Yeah.
and I was afraid of it for Miami as a Miami fan because Villanova was basically what Miami is, but they shoot the three a lot better, and they shoot it at a higher consistency, and they run the floor a little bit better.
Okay.
And from last year, I've just never been a big Villanova fan, and the reason why is
Yeah.
because that they lose. Um, how they lost to Xavier earlier in the year when they should have beat Xavier as Xavier. How they lost the tournament final. Just find ways to lose, but they've shown me
Yeah.
uh, how outstanding they've been. Um, the Kansas game was probably their worst game of the entire tournament, which is assumed because you're playing the number one seed. But
Yeah.
against Miami, they shot and I have the numbers right here. They shot with an adjusted field goal percentage, which is kind of a threes you hit, a little bit higher percentage, um,
Yeah.
at 70.59% of the field. And
Okay.
that's just unreal. I mean, just absolutely, and had a 1.597 points per possession. They're scoring 1 points per possession every
Okay.
time they get the ball. They're scoring basically. And
Yeah.
Miami didn't have a bad game, but turned the ball over. And Villanova going into that Kansas game, I was like, I don't know who's going to win based on this game. Kansas has been playing good too, and Villanova's really shown me a lot. I think going into Final Four, they're definitely the second best team,
Yeah.
um, behind
Second.
behind North Carolina. And
Okay.
oh my God, North Carolina has been so good. And the
What?
reason I was critical of North Carolina getting into the tournament was kind of their inconsistent defense and their lack of being able to shoot the three or to keep up with people that do shoot the three and shoot it at a higher percentage. But they have not only found ways to keep up with those teams, they have found ways to consistently outpace them and score at a higher percentage than those three balls or their second chance points would even matter. Um, they have completely blown me away with how differently they've been playing. I tried to going into the tournament. I tried to like uh, figure out what teams does North Carolina lose to, and you'll see a loss to Notre Dame or a loss to Duke, which are two great offensive teams, not good defensive teams. A loss to Louisville, great defensive team, not great offensive team, but a good offensive team. Um, just these losses that don't really stack up against each other. Northern Iowa, Texas, just not a lot of losses. And you look at that and you're like, well, they're all close losses. They didn't lose out of the six losses they have. They didn't lose by more than 6 points, and they have been hitting on all cylinders since the end of the season and into the ACC tournament. That now I feel like they have just been so overwhelming that I think that they're going to carry this consistency into the Final Four, and they're going to be able to again, they had a not a close matchup, I would say, against Syracuse earlier in the year. But it was a good matchup. I mean, Syracuse couldn't get over the size that North Carolina has. But I think that's kind of how it's going to go again. North Carolina is probably going to overpower them. That Villanova Oklahoma matchup is something to be said, because when I look at Oklahoma, I look at everything that they bring to the table, and I'm so impressed by Buddy Hield throughout this entire tournament. His ability to hit shots on a consistent basis, not just consistently hitting shots, consistently hitting dagger shots. I mean, just ones that you're just like, oh my god, what? That just kills the momentum right there. And
Yeah, man.
their entire team has been playing so well throughout this tournament that it's hard to say who does Oklahoma lose to. So the Villanova Oklahoma matchup is going to show me, I think, a lot of what I want to see, and a matchup that really kind of pan out which teams are for real and aren't. I think Villanova and Oklahoma are obviously for real. They made the Final Four. They've been impressive throughout their entire runs. But it's going to be a test for both teams. Oklahoma is running up and down the court. Villanova is high percentage shots on the possessions they do have, and scoring at a very high rate. That's going to be a really matchup. I had to say, I would say Villanova, just based on their consistency that they've been able to show. And I don't want to count out Buddy Hield. I've been doing that. I've been doing that the entire tournament. I did that against when he played VCU. I thought VCU was gonna be able to just shut him down, and then now we have the story. Some VCU players said to him in the second half, "You're supposed to be the player of the year,"
Yeah.
and he goes off and scores like 24 points.
Well, let me ask you real quick.
Just those type of things.
Let me ask you real quick. How in the world did Syracuse actually get into the Final Four? Because it's funny looking at their losses from this season, and it's just like, this is a Final Four team. Please explain that to the people.
The funny thing is I just was looking at that today, and I screenshotted their since at the beginning of February to now, their profile, their team profile of losses, and it's so unreal to see what they've done now,
Yeah.
versus the team they were. Now, make no mistake that they're winning these games, but they're not winning them in impressive fashion. They're just winning them. And I say impressive fashion, such as they're not wowing you with how many points they score. They're not wowing you with how many times they have possessions. They're not wowing you with their percentage of shots that they make. They're not wowing you with how they stop people defensively. They're just winning these games, and it's something that I can't explain. Watching that Gonzaga game, I was probably I was 95% sure that Gonzaga was probably going to beat them by 20. I thought there was no way that Syracuse could keep up with Sabonis down low, and anytime they would try to keep up with Sabonis, Wiltshire would be able to knock mid rangers to or three point shoot. I mean, they were a good 3-point shooting team.
Really,
and they proved that through the first 10, 15 minutes, but Gonzaga fell off. And Syracuse, what I want to attribute to is Jim Boeheim's an outstanding coach. any coach that plays a 2-3 zone consistently throughout their entire college coaching career, and as long as he's done it and consistently had success, that's just something to marvel at, and to see them in the Final Four with kind of the team they have, is something to say, wow, maybe Jim Boeheim is an elite coach. Maybe he can get his players to play at the absolute that these times when it's all or nothing. And like I said, they haven't wowed me. They haven't impressed me with their numbers, but they've impressed me that they've won. The only thing that I can say about that Syracuse Virginia game, they come out with that full court press, and they continue that throughout the second half. Virginia choked. Let's just be real about that. They were up 16 points, like 39 to 60, 39 to 55, something like that. And just when you can't, with under 10 minutes to go, and you're a team like Virginia, and you're a half court offense, and you can't decide once you get past the full court press to contain your. I expected more from Virginia, and the fact that they decided to settle for bad shots and let Syracuse get back into it. Making no mistake, Syracuse made a terrific run. I think that Virginia more or less lost that game rather than Syracuse winning that game. I'm impressed that Syracuse made it to the Final Four. I'm not impressed in the manner in which they made it to the Final Four. I think Gonzaga stepped off the pedal. I think Virginia just completely fell away from their game plan. Middle Tennessee State was, I think, past Michigan State. They didn't shoot well, and Dayton, for them, they definitely showed a lot in that game. They beat them 70-51. But I mean, like I said, credit to Jim Boeheim as a coach.
Yeah.
You will not see a team like Syracuse make the Final Four without a coach like Jim Boeheim or Coach K or Roy Williams or just these outstanding coaches. And that's because they have the ability to motivate somebody in a do or die situation like that. And the thing that I equate it to is I was listening to a podcast with Jay Williams and JJ Redick.
Yeah.
And Jay Williams had said, the thing with Coach K was he has this ability to motivate you to something you never thought you could believe in, and you just run through the walls believing it, even if everybody else doesn't, and everybody else can see it's not going to happen. It's going to happen, and we're going to make sure it happens. And that's kind of the way that Jim Boeheim, old school coaches like Coach K, and so that's, I mean, credit to him to getting them to the Final Four. I don't see them getting past to North Carolina, though. That's just a great team that they have, and Roy Williams has definitely coached them to perfection this year with senior leadership, upperclassmen leadership, and a nice blend of what I like about North Carolina so much is their ability to find contributors apart from their regular everyday starters. Bryce Johnson got into foul trouble last night. He had that technical. But Theo Pinson was coming off the bench, is playing really good. Joel Berry, another starter, was playing really good.
Yeah.
Isaiah Hicks was coming off the bench playing good, and still getting into foul trouble, of course. When I look at the teams that did make the Final Four versus the teams that didn't, Villanova and Syracuse, or Villanova and Kansas matchup. that was probably that I would say either one of those teams could make it. I think they're very well balanced across the board. Oklahoma and Oregon. I never was big on Oregon. Make no mistake about that. I just felt like they could lose it at any point.
They got
I'm
those
not a
uniforms
big
though.
Pac-12.
They got the uniforms though.
That's true.
Gotta
That's
go
true.
for them.
And I'm not a big Pac-12 fan. I tend to pick them. I don't mean to. Maybe I do mean to, but I just don't like the fact that they get into the tournament and in the last 3 years they just haven't had the. They've had teams that have shown talent, but they just haven't taken the extra step. And Oregon eventually lost to Oklahoma. I don't know what to think about Oklahoma. I really don't. I like Buddy Hield a lot, but and he's been shooting it phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think we're not talking about the Oklahoma role players as much as we should. Oklahoma is getting phenomenal production from the role players as well. So as a basis of what I saw from this entire weekend, the best teams won the first matchups. The best teams won the second matchups, except Syracuse.
So let me ask you. We're running short on time here. Let me ask, what if you had to make a prediction? Who would be in the finals? Like, what would be the two teams in the finals?
Well, I think that back to my point about Jim Boeheim making Syracuse play, getting them to the Final Four, phenomenal job. And I think that he's going to have them playing a great Carolina. I think it'll be a lot closer, and I think it'll be something that will be a good game to the second half. But that North Carolina size and that North Carolina consistency across them scoring on possessions, I think North Carolina will overpower them in the final at least 10 minutes. With Villanova and Oklahoma, the thing about them is Oklahoma is getting a lot of possessions in games during the tournament.
Yeah.
Which is allowing them to find production from those role players, those starters like Kadeem Latin and Spangler. In addition to Buddy just going off, I think they're going to need another Buddy game of where he goes. He has to score at least 30, and they have to keep up with Villanova. Because the thing about Villanova that I've noticed is that the times that they do get baskets are critical times during the games. They don't go on long stretches where they're finding trouble to score.
Yeah.
They don't go on stretches where they're settling for shots. And defensively, they play a good defensive game, not the best defensive game, but they play a good defensive game that can hold you in check, and they hold you to their type of game, kind of the same way that Virginia would like to do with their half-court offense, but not so. So I would say out of that game, I think that Villanova holds the possessions, and Villanova wins a tight game.
All right.
In
So
the North Carolina Villanova matchup, yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying. All right, so we got those two, and I'm sure we can get to the finals when the finals come up. We could talk about that. But the game.
Yeah, I mean that'll be.
Oh, I was just wondering. But the game, it's Saturday, isn't it?
The two Final Four games are going to be Saturday, and then the championship will be on Monday.
All right then. Cool. Well, I think that about does it for us. Appreciate you coming on and talking this college ball, the thing I don't understand normally. And I appreciate
the the
Go
thing
ahead.
about it is, the thing about it is it's harder. And I kind of had a discussion with someone earlier today about it. The thing about college basketball is it needs to be 4 quarters, and that would make everything a lot easier to translate for the NBA fans, and it would make it a lot easier for college kids to to transition to the NBA. I hate that it's not, but it's different in its own right. Basketball is a one sport across um, each level of competition, from uh, high level AAU to private schools and high level high school teams, to college basketball to NBA. They're all different in their own way, but they're all fantastic forms of basketball. Each each different, but each showing characteristics that um, and adding on. I think that the thing that people don't see in the college games, it's a different pace, but it's a different level of competition than the NBA. I love the NBA because I love the fast pace, the run up and down, but college is just as good too.
Cool.
I just love basketball, man.
It's a great
Basketball.
sport. But anyway, we got to go. I got to run. And real quick, I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. Until next time, man, we'll have to talk again right before the finals.
For sure, and we'll definitely talk about whoever makes it, and we'll definitely figure out what we can
Oh,
find
yeah.
out about these two Final Four matchups, and see who's going to be making
Oh,
it and
yeah.
who's going to be competing for that national championship. Then
All
we're
right, man.
definitely going to discuss that Batman Superman.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got to do that. Anyway,
That's a big one.
that's the big matchup we're talking about. Anyway, guys, got to go. Thanks for listening. And yeah, catch us. See ya. We out. Crap. How do I end? Continue broadcast.